and over and over again. So here's the thing. One thing I did that you should probably do is delete any layers you don't need anymore. So some of you, your drawing, your trajectory drawing is on the same layer. It is what it is. Move forward. Those who have your trajectory on separate layers, you can delete them now because when you export it, it will always show those layers, even if you hide them. So for now, delete your extra layers. So I deleted all my extra layers. Right now, what you see is basically the bouncing ball. So now to add a title page, what you're gonna do is, first thing is add a new layer. You want this on a separate layer because you wanna be able to move your layers later. So the tool that you're going to use is just like Illustrator, Photoshop. If you've used any of those, is the letter T. It's a text tool. And you want to, before you click on the screen, you can go up here under Properties and Tools, and you can start adding different things. You could change the font. There are probably like 80 fonts in here. So you could choose any font you want. I like a simple font like Futura. Is usually one I used to use a lot. And you could check the size. Now, if you type something, and I put in a bouncing ball project, don't have to have caps. Animation, and I forget. You guys are what? A1 or B1? Folks, I am recording. All right, so bouncing ball project. Now here's the thing. You can move it around with your selection tools, put it wherever you want. Remember, it's not animating just yet. You're doing one page right now. But if you want to change your font, you're like, oh, this font's kind of boring, then you got to go into object. Still, you got to select your text tool. Still, you like, just like, Office or any typing program, you highlight your text. Now you say, you know what? I like Futura, but no, I really don't. So I'm going to change it. And you go down. Remember, if you use any funky fonts, make sure it's legible. So this one's pretty legible. It's kind of cursive looking. I like it because it mimics movement. So anytime a font is curved, kind of mimics movement. I don't like red, although my bouncing ball is red. So maybe I'll go more like a burgundy, so it's a little bit darker. And you could basically go from there. You could change spacing. There's a bunch of options here, just like if you were typing this out in some program. But let's move on. So I got my text. I like the size. I like the font. I like the color. I'm going to move this towards the middle because my bouncing ball is going to come in right before this. And I want it right there. That'd be cool. I want the ball to bounce through it. So now we're going to do what's called a bridge. Remember what I talked about earlier? How long should your words be up? You should be able to read it 3 times out loud. So if you read fast, I'm going to press play, and then we're going to stop the animation when I'm done reading it 3 times fast. Bouncing ball project animation, A1, Wesley Santiago. Bouncing ball project animation, A1, Wesley Santiago. I'm actually going to stop there because I'm almost at the end of the animation. So I'm just going to say, you know what? Maybe I need less text. And what I could do is I could just get rid of animation A1. Because then I could just do a title page for all of you that says animation A1, and then you guys do your animation. So let's try this again. And this is just the learning process. But also, if your animation is short, then you can't have a long title. It wouldn't make sense. So let's try this again. Bouncing ball project, Wesley Santiago. Bouncing ball project, Wesley Santiago. Bouncing ball project, Wesley Santiago. There we go. So it's back to where we thought the first time I showed you how to do this. It's 5.5 seconds. Perfect. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back and we're going to do the bridge, right? The bridge is before you get on the bridge, it's at 0 opacity, goes up to 100, you're on the bridge, goes across the bridge, 100%, goes down the bridge, gets off, 0% opacity. We're going to make it appear, stay visible, and then disappear. And we're going to do 1 second. So I'm going to go to 1 second. I'm going to create a keyframe. Then I'm going to go to the end, which was 5.5. That's where it's going to disappear. So right now it's 165 keyframe at a frame 165. So that means I got to go back to 4.5 and add a keyframe. You want this to be mathematical. What I mean by this, measured. Why? It's noticeable if it appears in half a second and disappears in 2 seconds. The person's going to be thrown off like, what's going on? Why did it appear so fast and disappear so slow? So you want to make sure you follow some kind of math and you're not just guessing. All right, so we got our 4 points. 1 second, we got a keyframe, passes a second, we got a keyframe. 2.5 seconds, we got a keyframe. 1 second, we got a keyframe. Now you just gotta give it its, how you call it, opacity. So what I'm gonna go to the first one, I'm gonna go to frame and then color and effects. That's how you affect the way things look visually. Go to alpha, bring it down to 0. We're only doing this to the first and the last one. The 2 in the middle stay at 100%. So I'm going to go to the last keyframe, go to alpha again, same process, 0. The last thing you need to do is select, well, not the last thing, but the last thing for this layer is select the whole layer, just like you did. You inserted a classic tween. And it's going to say convert selection to symbol tween, press OK, it'll do it for you. Now if you press play, besides the bouncing ball, letters appear, bouncing ball project, Wesley Santiago, and it disappears. Good. Now the last thing we need to do is move our title because we don't want it to appear with, or move the bouncing ball animation because we don't want it to be up during the whole animation. So we're going to have a blank page. Our words pop up, the bouncing ball starts, and then our title disappears. You do want, and this in film is called transitions. You don't want your title to be up there and disappear, and then you wait 5 seconds and the bouncing ball appears. That's going to look weird. You want there to be a transition, meaning the bouncing ball comes out and your title starts to disappear by the time the bouncing ball becomes the attention. Also, in the principles of animation, they talked about this. They said don't have weird spacing and don't have an object. Let one object help you get attention to the other object. So this is what you do. The layer with your bouncing ball animation, click the first frame, go all the way to the end, hold shift, click the last frame. And what you're going to notice, if I could get my dock out of the way, if you put your cursor on top of it, you're going to get a white box. That means you can actually move the whole thing. So I'm moving it so that this dot right here is when the title appears. So I'm going to move it, I would say halfway through that second, so that title starts to disappear. So let's try it out. I might be wrong, but let's see what happens. Let's go to the beginning. Press play. Bouncing ball project, Wesley Santiago. The bouncing ball went right through the words, so I got to move it more. So I'm going to click the first one. I want the bouncing ball to go through the title as it's almost disappearing. So I got to look at that white. I got to look at the keyframe where it turns white, which is all the way back here. So I want to start it closer to that. And believe it or not, this is a separate job in animation. Like this would be a completely different person doing all this aspect of it. All right, there we go. Perfect. Love it. The ball bounces right by the title. So when you're reading the title, your attention goes from the title to the bouncing ball. Let's see that again. Bouncing Ball Project by Wesley Santiago. All of a sudden, the ball comes out, goes right through the titles, it disappears. So your attention now goes to the right thing. That would be a semi-successful transfer of attention from the title to the ball. That's it. That's the whole goal. Once you have that, you're done, and you're going to hand this in, and the assignment is going to say Bouncing Ball Project with title.